We want everyone else on mute, Haylee.
Good morning, afternoon. It is now 12:01. So, welcome to Tips to Develop Your Personal Branding with darling Rachel Ross from Focus Personal Brand Photography. Thank you so much for allowing us to change the date. Some things just can't get away from. So we really appreciate you giving us that. So today we're actually going to be talking about personal branding, but a little bit about who we are as Accountabill first. This is me. I love this new photo. Rachel took this of me a couple of weeks ago and she's made me incredibly happy. So we are accountants. We have created the Accountabill community. So this is where we do bookkeeping. We also do financial accounting. And we do business development work, so we can help you with your strategic planning and goal setting and actually getting you to where you want to be. Our specialty is companies in financial difficulty, so we actually take those companies and turn them around, and so we help them negotiate ways to actually become profitable businesses again. Yesterday we got 32,000 written off with IRD, so I'm like, yay, that's awesome. And this year we are finalists for the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers of New Zealand, that's a mouthful, Bookkeeper of the Year. So 24th of June we find out whether we're the proud winners of that.
Excellent. July,
yes, July. I'm still in June. So this is Rachel. So I've had the pleasure of working with Rachel for a few years. Obviously from her photo here, we sort of get an indication as to who Rachel actually is. She's clearly not a very serious person. maybe that's how she's been able to work with me for so many years. She is an amazing photographer, and she's also got a degree in education. So she can actually really teach you how to understand personal branding and how to use that in your business. So not only can she take amazing photos, she can actually educate you on how to actually use them. She's probably the most chilled out and genuine individual that I've worked with for quite a long time. And she says what she thinks. So you're going to get honest answers from her. And she also has a magic camera. So I don't know many people with these magic cameras, but through her lens, I actually look really good. So it is clearly a magic camera because no one else's camera can do it. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Rachel. You can wow us with your brilliance and teach us everything we need to know about personal branding.
Thanks, Haylee. I don't think I've ever been introduced that well before. Thank you. Right, I'm just going to set up so you can see this slideshow. Has that popped up on your screen now?
Yes.
With the beautiful Leslie Leach. So yes, today I want to help you understand personal branding and give you some tips on how to get started. So Haylee already showed you some photos of me, but here's some more. Rather than me introducing myself again, this just gives you an indication of me and what I'm about, and I like to tell my stories through images as well as writing them down. So this is what I'm about, helping you tell stories, and this is some of mine. So I could tell you all day about how to build your personal brand, but if you don't see value in it or you don't understand how it works, then you might not be actually motivated to get started. So first, I just wanted to have a look at some common questions to make sure we all get an understanding of what personal branding is. And Haylee and anyone else who wants to ask a question at any time, I want it to be more like a conversation rather than me going blah, blah, blah at you. There's definitely going to be question time at the end if we finish in time, but I would love to help you with any questions or queries you have during the session. Haylee might be able to keep an eye on any chat things.
Yes, totally.
That come up. Cool. All right. So What is a personal brand and how does it work? How does my personal brand differ from my business brand? That's a common question. How does a personal brand help market my business? How can I develop a successful personal brand? So to help you answer those questions, I figured I might tell you what personal branding is not, because a lot of us Kiwis especially, either consciously or unconsciously, we kind of get put off the idea of personal branding because of some of these beliefs. We think it's showing off. It's not. Personal branding is not only for the most beautiful and extroverted among us. Haylee and I are very good examples of that, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
It's not trying to be someone you are not. It's not implying you think you're better than anyone else or everyone else. So you know what I really loved is that Haylee talked about what she does and that she's nominated, or the business is nominated for an award. She's not showing off. She's explaining why she's good and how she's good about, and you know, and acknowledging the things that that she is good at without saying, you know, I'm better than everyone else. Personal branding is not about becoming a celebrity. And there's Kim, who has an amazing personal brand, but I'm not sure how authentic she is. And it's not only what you share online. So yes, when we talk about personal branding, it does seem to be a lot about the online world, but it's not only about that. Personal branding is showing up and showing yourself, not showing off. It's about giving more people a chance to know you exist and connect with you. That's the main premise of personal branding. It's about how other people experience you. I like to describe personal branding as what people say about you once you've left the room, if you think about it that way. It's about being authentically you. It's about adding value to the lives of others. It's about coming out from behind your business. And there's Haylee coming out from behind her business.
That's exactly one of my posts that I'm going to be doing.
And it's about what others see, hear, read, and learn from and about you, and in person and online. So you think about a workshop you go to, or even a workshop or a webinar that you are presenting, what people hear from you, how they see you, the things you do, how you talk, it's all your personal brand. So in saying that, then, everyone actually has a personal brand, whether you intentionally working on it or not. And this is where we think, well, do I want to do something about that? And one quote that I like is, you can carefully define your own story and tell others what it is, or you can leave it up to them to come to their own conclusions. And I think this, I've kind of thought about this a little bit, and I think, well, you can't actually control what other people are going to think of you. So they're still going to come to their own conclusions. But the more you put out there about you and your unique stories, the more they're going to see the parts of you that they may connect with. So looking at these images, these are Sam, a real estate agent. Thinking about or looking at those, what comes across consistently with the images? What assumptions would you make about Sam's personality and style and likes and dislikes?
She likes to have fun looking at that Santa hat and the big laugh on her face.
Yeah. And some people might think, oh no, I can't put that up. But actually it shows her really vibrant personality. So the story about Sam, when she started working with me, we talked about her and what makes her unique. And she's very English, and she likes cups of tea like probably Americans drink coffee. She drinks tea, and she has multiple cups a day. And so she actually came up with this whole kind of branding thing where she had ads with this photo, and she put in there the text was, put the jug on and let's have a chat. And it was amazing. Her boss at the real estate company, I happened to chat to him one day, and he said she's got a whole new energy and a sense of purpose and confidence now that she didn't have before, because she's so clear on who she is and how she's marketing herself as herself, and not trying to just look professional and look like every other real estate agent out there. So how does personal branding work? And I'm not a marketing guru, and I'm definitely not someone who knows all about social media and how it works. I'm not about tips and tricks. I really just want to think logically and use common sense, and the way I see it, personal branding is it logic and common sense. So let's not overcomplicate things. And this is a little analogy that just kind of makes sense to me. I compare it to finding the love of your life, or as my friend said the other day, it's like trying to find a job. Not sharing your personal brand by getting out and meeting people or sharing more on social media and then wishing you had more clients is like sitting at home watching Netflix and eating ice cream and then wondering why you're still single. It's like when you want to get a job and you're sitting at home eating ice cream and watching Netflix and wondering why you don't have a job. You've got to get yourself out there. So does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
So when you're trying to find the love of your life, you may be an amazing, attractive, intelligent, and fun person like we all are, but your ideal man or woman can't fall in love with you if they don't know you exist. True? So
True.
Putting yourself out there and capturing attention lets people know that you exist. So you may have, for example, the most amazing products or services, but your ideal audience can't fall in love with you if they don't know you exist. So but through personal branding, are going to basically just let more and more people know that you exist. You can use eye-catching photos, networking events, talking to people when you're out and about. I used to be embarrassed when friends of a friend would say, so what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I just take photos. And now I explain what personal branding is and what I do. And it may be that down the track, you go, oh yeah, I talked to Rachel and she does something like that. But you just never know. You're confident about who you are and what you do. You can spread that and people will know you exist. So finding the love of your life, if this is like so once they know you exist, if they like what they've seen and they feel a connection, then they want to get to know you more, which is the same as when you are using personal branding. Your audience wants to know more about you and starts to interact and check you out. So they might read some posts of yours. They might like your posts. They might comment on your posts or ask questions, sorry. They might come and talk to you at a networking event or after a workshop. And then when you're in the analogy of the meeting the love of your life, this is what we call the dating phase. You get to know your partner more, you see them regularly, and you share interests and activities. You might go out for dinner. And then when we're talking about personal branding, this is when your audience know they like you, and they may subscribe to your newsletters. They may follow you. They might attend the same events. They might meet for coffee, like Heather and I go to the same awesome accountability group. Hey, Haylee. And we meet up and just have a chat. So they regularly interact with you. And then in the whole scheme of finding the love of your life, you get married and have babies, or not, but you are in a partnership and you trust each other and you are loyal to each other. So with your personal branding, this is when you build up a loyal audience. And like with marriage, these are the people who are committed to you and love you and know you and trust you. So they feel that you've added value to their lives and they might purchase your products and services. You've built a strong relationship where you both support each other. So, for example, they might read your blog regularly, you might meet up for lunch, you're introducing each other to your friends, and you've built up basically a relationship. And you can see this is Helen's yoga Facebook page, and she's got people who never used to know her, who've become her clients, who now have, you know, sending her hearts and tell her she's beautiful. This is Aroha Nui. Thank you, Helen. So that's, she's got to the point where she's got a loyal audience there. So this is a lovely little diagram that I made up to kind of illustrate how personal branding works. So there you go. First they know you exist. Haylee put a photo up on Facebook and they go, oh, it's Haylee. And then they have an initial interaction. Someone clicks like on Haylee's post. Then there's regular interaction and connection. They like Haylee's page. They see Haylee's posts regularly, and they ask questions about bookkeeping or whatever it is that she's helping them with. And then there's loyalty. They've subscribed to Haylee's newsletter. They go along to Haylee's accountability group. And then recommendations. That's when they go, hey Heather, I'm working with this awesome lady, Haylee. I know you're having trouble with debt in your business, which you're not. And she can help you. And this is where I'm going to show you how it works in numbers. So let's say 1,000 people saw Haylee's first post. Then 100 out of those 1,000 went click like. Maybe 10 out of them thought, yeah, I quite like her. I might follow her page. Maybe 2 of those go, yeah, she's my type of person and I really want to follow her more because I think she's really adding value to my life. And 1 out of those 2 goes out of their way to say, hey, yeah, Haylee's a good one. If you want help, go to see her. And then Haylee's got to keep posting because she wants to keep feeding that pipeline, because she knows that for every 1,000 people who notice her, that each time, maybe only 2 of them are actually going to become clients. So keep feeding the pipeline. Get another 1,000, another 100, another 10, another 2, another 1. But there's another way to feed the pipeline. Let's say 6 people are recommended to Haylee. So someone goes, shares Haylee's post on their Facebook page and says, hey, look, Haylee's a really good person to work with. So 6 people have a friend who's worked with Haylee and recommends her. And because they're recommended to you and you really trust your friend, all 6 of those are probably going to interact and go in and see and maybe like Haylee's post. Maybe 5 out of those 6 might regularly interact. Maybe 4 will become loyal and 3 will become those people that make recommendations. So recommendations are more likely to connect you with your ideal clients. Can you see how that works? That you're not just feeding the pipeline, but you're also getting stronger word of mouth.
That's really cool. Makes it quite clear having the numbers.
Yeah, well, I made all those up. It's supposed to be an example. So word of mouth is recommendations. So look, this is something that Helen had on her Facebook page. And if you look at the last line, the lady says, I recommend her classes to everyone, no matter what your abilities or experience. Namaste. So unlike with finding the love of your life, it's a good thing for your audience to recommend you to others. You don't necessarily want to go offering your husband up to everyone, but you're someone you are working with, yes, you're allowed to do that. So more people have the benefit of knowing you. Oh. Don't think about it. This is a really, I want to get this into everyone's head as much as I can, but I want to say it quickly. Don't think about it as promoting yourself. If you think about it like that, we start feeling like we're pushing ourselves on others. But if you think about it as reaching the audience who will benefit greatly from what you have to offer it turns it around in your head and you realize you're doing people a favor, not necessarily promoting yourself. Can you see the difference?
So like-minded individuals will attract like-minded individuals, won't they?
Yes. Oh, and like-minded and people with similar ways of being, I suppose, not just how you think, but how you are.
So by putting yourself out there and demonstrating who you are and showing people, you're going to be attracting those people that are like you. So then you're going to have a better working relationship.
People are more likely to enjoy working with you. Yeah. So let's have a look at how a personal brand is different to a business brand. They support each other, but there are differences. So a personal brand includes your personality, obviously, and interests, so people can get to know you. Whereas a corporate brand is about the business values and the business services and the business products and colours, which obviously you have an influence on if you own the business, but it's not necessarily about you. Your personal brand allows you to share and promote multiple businesses or causes that you're interested in. So if you think about, you have a page where you share everything you do and you share the interests that you have and people follow you there, you've got a lot more influence. There's a lady who was a very good marketer and also a photographer. She kept those businesses separate. And then she realized that a lot of them could have been, or she wanted to start a new business. And she realized that they didn't know who she was. They only knew the business names. And she wanted to bring them in and take them into her new business, as both audiences would have found value in it. But she felt like she needed to start over again because no one actually knew who she was. So a corporate brand, obviously, this is about this one business. Did that make sense? Did I explain that well enough?
Yeah.
So a personal brand, yeah.
I think if you look at it like Coca-Cola, you know, that's a brand, but you can't relate to it.
Yeah, it's about the drink.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you can obviously have success without having a personal brand like Coca-Cola or McDonald's. With people in small business, I'll get to it, but yeah, people in small business, it's easier to start off with people knowing you. So a personal brand, it's about building relationships with loyal clients. And a corporate brand, it's about making sales. With a personal brand, it's more organic, all right? So if we're talking about trying to get more clients, it's organic, it's slow growing, and it's very difficult to measure. You might find someone 5 years down the track, they might not remember how they first knew you, but it might have just been from a Facebook post or a LinkedIn article that you wrote where there was a great photo, taken by Rachel Ross, where they just noticed you. But that's hard to measure because 5 years down the track, you know, they might have forgotten how they found you. With a corporate brand, it's more about direct marketing and advertising, which is more easily measured by inquiries and sales. A personal brand makes you feel more vulnerable, and this can be quite hard for people to start with a personal branding because of the vulnerability you do feel, because when you're putting yourself out there, you obviously can be judged, and sometimes we're scared of that, and which is a big reason why some people just keep their corporate brand, because they're less vulnerable and they also have less chance to connect with the audience. With a personal brand, you get the extra edge to be chosen above others with the same product and services. If someone else does the same thing as Heather, but Heather's doing free little workshops every Friday to help people with their graphic design, I'm going to have Heather front of mind because I know she's adding value and I've seen her and noticed her. With a corporate brand, yes, you have point of difference marketing with corporate brands, but if you think about it, you are a major point of difference. There's only one of you. Personal branding, means, and I might have to explain this one, I'm not sure if it's obvious, but it means less time wasted on inquiries from clients who are not your ideal audience, which means you can spend more time and energy on those who are. So when you're a corporate, when you're just using your corporate brand, the inquiries are based on your products and services and pricing. So do people get that, or do I need to explain that a bit more?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, so I've come across a great quote, and it goes something like this. If I was to think of it in terms of me, I want people to want me, not people who want a photographer. So if someone's looking for a photographer, then they're looking at pricing and the products. But if someone's heard about me, knows about me, and they don't bother looking for a photographer, they just want me, then I've done a good job of putting out my personal brand, because they know that who I am is who they feel they could work with.
Mm. Yeah.
And
that makes really good sense.
Yeah, and here's another really good example. This is the lovely Janine Gard, who is an antenatal educator, as well as baby massage and all sorts of things. She owns From Bellies to Babies. And here's the quote: people don't fall in love with the business, they fall in love with the person running it, and that's what they respond so positively to. So in Hawke's Bay, people have the option of a free antenatal class, or they can pay to go to Janine's classes. And Janine's classes are full. So you know it's not about the price. You know it's about people loving Janine and how much value she adds, and people recommending her. So other examples for me personally, I wanted to join a gym. I knew a lady, Chrissy, who's an amazing local lady. She owned a gym. I didn't go and look at any other gyms. I went straight to Chrissy. I know and love Chrissy. I wanted a logo designed. I didn't go Google logos. I asked Haylee, who's a good person. She told me Liv from Ladybug Designs, and I went straight to Liv. This is before I knew Heather. Went straight to Liv, and I didn't bother Googling anyone else, because I trust Haylee, Haylee trusts Liv, and therefore I went and got a logo and everything else for my branding done there. Has anyone else got examples of that, where they knew and they trusted someone, so they went straight there and it made the decision easy?
Sometimes.
You probably have.
Yeah, I needed photos taken for my business, and I just knew this chick Rachel, and she's got a magic camera, and so I love the photos for my business. That was easy.
That's a good example. So the next question was, how does my personal brand help market my business? And you kind of probably worked that all out, but let's put it like this. When you share more of your true self, rather than purely trying to come across as very professional, you add value to people's lives, you build relationships so that more people know you exist, they interact with you, they connect with you, and become loyal to you, which means they're then more likely to recommend you and buy from you. Therefore, your personal brand is help market your business. And last, kind of on the same track, is that, as I said, I'm not a marketing guru. I just think that personal branding is like a trendy new name for an old tradition, which is that we recommend and buy from people we know and trust in our communities. Very quickly, my father-in-law, along with a couple of his brothers, owned a business. And some of the other brothers were always complaining how Jimmy was kind of seemed to, they'd drive past, he'd be stopped down the road chatting to someone on the side of the road, and didn't seem to be doing much of the actual work. But what it turns out is that a lot of the business coming in was because of Jimmy chatting to all the people down the road who had businesses, and chatting to them at the pub, and letting them know that he's fun and he's a good guy and he's a great, he's got a lot of knowledge about sandblasting. And it turns out that he was marketing for them in his own unique way, which is just, you know, letting people know who you are. The big difference now is that our communities have expanded to a much wider audience due to the vastness of the internet and social media. So really it's an old tradition with a new medium. So are there any questions about that? Because that's pretty much the bit of understanding what personal branding is and getting an idea of how it works.
Surely someone's got a question. Otherwise, you've explained it incredibly well, Rachel.
Well, that's a good way of putting it.
I think we went through that phase where everyone had to have the perfect headshot. And I think we're now past that, aren't we? It's now actually just candid photos showing who you actually are, not actually being so perfect.
Okay.
Yes. Because actually perfect can be a little bit off-putting.
Yeah.
If all I see is perfection, then I'm not going to feel much of a connection with you because I really know that I'm not perfect. So if you look immaculate all the time in all your photos, I'm like, that's not me. Okay, so let's get on to, and you might want to have a bit of paper here to scribble on because there may be some things here that you want to quickly jot down any ideas as you get them. But let's move on to how to develop your personal brand. There's two parts. One is that you want to define what makes you unique so you can share and connect. And the other part is you want to decide how you are going to add value so you'll be seen as an authority. So they mix in together, but I kind of feel like there are two parts, and it's important to acknowledge that sometimes you're just sharing something about yourself without adding value, and sometimes you're adding value without sharing too much about yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to know yourself, your business, and your style before you can build a solid, consistent brand. So that's why I like to start with all my clients with a consultation. I want to have a really good think about what makes you unique. Now, and these are some of the questions that you might ask yourself. I mean, who am I? That's very broad, but what do I love? What did I love to do as a child? I used to love climbing trees. And when I had started going through this personal brand stuff, I thought, yeah, actually, I really love climbing trees. And you know what I did? I went and did this. If you go to Tutera in Hawke's Bay, they've got those high ropes courses. I went and did a session with some kids, and then I went and did a course so that I could go and instruct people on high ropes courses. And this all came about from thinking more about me and who I am and what I love to do. Think about what's your style.
What do you mean by style?
So, for example, some people have maybe the way they dress is quite classic, and their or your style might be more Bushman style. Thinking of, you know, the guy, How to Dare guy, who I can talk about later. Or your style might be just really down to earth, natural, gumboots, barefoot. Haylee, I haven't seen you barefoot as much as I used to.
It's winter.
So yeah, style can be many things, but you can break it down, think about how you dress, how you decorate, or all those things. What is important to me? For me, it's family and community. They're really, really big. Other people, it might be makeup and high heels, which is not me. Think about what makes you angry, because some of that actually is a really, it's quite good to think about what it is that you might connect with others about, that they have a strong feeling about, whether it's positive or negative. So the negatives still come into it. What do I want people to know about me? You are in control of how much you share. There's no pressure for you to be extremely vulnerable and tell people all about your deepest fears and your deepest regrets. What is it that you actually want people to know about you is under your control still. But it does pay to be a little bit vulnerable, not for the sake of being vulnerable, but for the sake of maybe helping others and making connections. Think about what causes you believe in. Haylee obviously really cares about having people educated to be able to give first aid because of her personal experience. It's something she believes in greatly, and I really loved how she was quite vulnerable in her post recently about that.
And I'm 11 likes off my goal of 200, Rachel.
We'll talk about that a bit later, love.
Oh, thank you.
Because, yes. But anyway, carry on. What struggles have I been through? How's my ideal audience similar to me? So my ideal audience probably is about the same age as me and probably has children at school like me. Not necessarily, but probably. So for me to pretend I don't have children is probably not in my interest, because actually to talk about kids being home from school and having difficulty getting my work done is someone else is going to look at that and go, oh yeah, I like her, she's like me, and I think we could probably be best friends, and I want to see her and read more about her and blah, blah, blah. And what does my ideal day look like? That kind of also gives you an idea of who you are and what you might be able to share. So if you're prepared to be a little bit personal and a little bit vulnerable and show your personality, people are going to think that that they maybe want to get to know you more. They'll start to remember you might start to remember who you really are, and it actually might have some help, might help you with your personal growth as well. So that's part one. This is part two. This is the bit where you think more about, well, how am I going to become an authority or seen as an authority and build my personal brand through adding value. And there's kind of 4 steps to this as well. First is feels like my building's going to blow down. First, decide what you would like to be known for. And I think don't get too caught up in this, because it's an experiment. If it didn't work out the first time, don't feel like you can only make one decision. You can always change your mind. So have a think about and decide on what you'd like to be known for. Figure out the best place for people to discover and follow you. Prepare your content that adds value, and then build that audience that's going to become your loyal marketers for you. So here's some great examples of New Zealanders using personal branding. There's the How to Dad guy. There's Caleb and Alice, who were the Block NZ winners in 2013, and they've got a renovating business now, and they always have these really strong, vibrant, full of energy images. And there's Nadia Lim, obviously, with my food bag and other things, and she's putting herself out there, and she shared that, I think photos with her family and all sorts. Has anyone else got any ideas? It may be someone who's in your particular area of work, but someone else who's doing a great job with their personal branding, who you think you'd like to mention? See, Kiwis are not very good at this, are we?
I'll chuck it in there, because I'm seeing a lot of Paula's posts recently.
Yep. And
seeing them pop up on Facebook, and it actually gives a whole new dimension to who Paula is, the way that she's now posting. Sorry about that, Paula. Paula McSporran, yeah. Whole different vibe coming from her posts in the last, couple of months. It's actually been really nice seeing more of Paula rather than what we've had in the past, which was
about what she does in the business and what and selling what she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the feedback. Appreciate that.
Yay.
No worries.
Brand pyramid. So this is just something to think about. If you can put together your own pyramid like this, then you're on the track. So first of all, you need to be known for something. So we talked about that as, what are you going to be known for, right? In a relevant space, large enough for it to matter. Where are you going to show up? You're going to create content in a way that makes a difference, and you build an audience. So let's have a look at the How to Dad guy. He's known for his Kiwi dadding techniques. He does this through videos on YouTube and Facebook, I think, wherever else it showed up. He entertains people with his tongue-in-cheek humour. That's his content. And his audience is those Kiwi parents and probably a wider audience now who like to see the light side of life. Haylee, if we were going to think about your personal brand pyramid, how do I go back? I don't know. What would we say if we had your personal brand pyramid in front of us? What would it be? What would you be known for?
Supporting small businesses.
Supporting small business. Where do you show up?
Really only on Facebook.
Facebook?
Yeah.
Class?
Because I'm not
Webinars.
good enough for Instagram. Oh yeah, webinars. Yes, we do that. So yeah, I think that would be supporting small businesses, show up on Facebook and in
Content.
webinars. And
Your content?
yes, content. Where else would I show up, Rachel?
So what's your content? What are you doing on the webinar?
Education. So for me, it's not about sales. It is all about educating. If we actually give small business owners all the tools that they need to be successful, then I've done my job.
Right. Cool. So what will you be known for? What could you or are you an authority in? And the starting line is your passions and your strengths. You don't actually need to have your thing that you're adding value with doesn't have to be directly connected with what your business is. It can be slightly connected. It can be something that people are just going to notice you through that is a niche within your niche. So these are some of the ways that you can start thinking about what is it specifically that I'm going to do to add value. It may be that you kind of blend some of your strengths and your interests and your passions up with something that's going to be how people notice you. So one of the ways to do that is to have a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. One side you're going to put your flatter yourself list, and the other side is you'll be real with yourself list. And you write down all the things that you're just incredible at, all the things that you excel at, and everything that you know that when you talk about this or when you do that, you just shine. And then on the other side, you've got the be real with yourself list. And that's all the things that you suck at, basically. The stuff that you struggle with and the stuff that you avoid outright. So be honest with yourself. Try it. Another thing you can do is come up with yourself, plus ask other people who know you. You don't have to know you well. It can be just people who work with you. Ask them for some adjectives or phrases or items or things or values that they associate with you. So putting Haylee on the spot again, who has worked with Haylee or knows Haylee and might have one or two adjectives, can't swear, adjectives or phrases that they might associate with Haylee? Go, Heather.
You don't want to say it, you can put it in the chat box.
You go, Haylee. Visionary.
Ooh,
Visionary. I like that, Heather. I'll keep you on.
My phrase for Haylee is very much down to earth. When I met her and she just had bare feet and she walked around in the office and just said what she thought, that's pretty down to earth to me and straight up. Okay, so another thing, and if you'd like to do this very quickly, you can close your eyes and imagine yourself in 2 years in the future. So, who's closing? Heather, come on, Haylee, close your eyes.
I'm watching.
There's nothing to see. So, if you're closing your eyes, or if you're not, think about 2 years in the future, and because of your achievements, you're a sought-after guest for a podcast interview. And on this day, you're preparing for a show. Thousands of people from around the world will hear what you have to say. What questions are you being asked on the podcast? On another day in the future, you're backstage at a prominent industry event. You're about to take the stage as the closing keynote speaker, And the anticipation fills the room as you're announced into the crowd, and they can't wait to hear what you have to say. What topic are you speaking about? It may be something came to your head that is completely different to what you do in business, and that's okay. What clues did you discover about yourself when you imagined your place in the future? And being known for something in the future doesn't require you to be an expert now. You have 2 years to get there, and you just need to be a step ahead of everyone else.
I love that, Rachel.
That's good. So, another couple of ways, and I've popped ahead again, but there's some quizzes online. There's a thing in Gallup, and it's about by Tom Rath, and you can go in there and find out, like, do a quiz and get more of an idea about what you're about. Rightio. So we've talked about what you'll be known for. Where will people discover you? Where will you be found and known? So this brings me back to Jodine, who did a really good webinar for Haylee and spoke quite a bit about what would come under personal branding, really, about being yourself. And she spoke about how certain places online are more aimed at businesses and some are more aimed at Facebook. So for Jodine, knowing that she wants to work for businesses, she uses LinkedIn, and this is where she's becoming more known online. What space allows you to stand out? So I actually really recommend to people to go and research what others in their field of interest or work are already doing in their area. So if you're a hairdresser, for example, and you want to start posting and adding value, and then you look up and you see that so many hairdressers are on Instagram and they're posting photos of glamorous women with their glamorous makeup and everything, then you might think, well, you know, that's crowded. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to post video on YouTube and I'm going to show women who are, using Catherine as an example, enhancing natural beauty. Not about glamour, but enhancing and looking natural as you are, and basically working with your own personality to match your, to match your personality. So once you've figured out what space is not crowded and overdone, you want to think about picking one social media platform, if we're talking about online, and you want to do it really well to start with. Don't spread yourself too thin. Don't do Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere, just to try and get as many people as you can, because it's hard to keep that up, for one thing. And the other thing, it's hard to become really good in one space if you're doing it everywhere. You're going to pick one that suits your strengths and that you like using. And if you want to get some advice around that, I really recommend Jodine at Social Smarty, because she's able to give you some pretty good ideas around what might suit you and how to do it. And be unique. Everyone's probably got a unique point of view or tone, so don't sound like everyone else because you think you need to sound professional. You kind of want to be sarcastic if you are sarcastic. If you've got deadpan humor, use that. If you're a bit hippie and new age, if you're really super vibrant and over the top, don't dull yourself down just because you feel that people might be overwhelmed. The people who really love vibrant over the top will really love you, and you will end up with a really strong, connected audience rather than a bland audience that doesn't necessarily look at everything you write because you're just kind of bland. Cool? Cool.
Very cool.
All right. So you figured out what you want to be known for. You figured out where you will be found. Now you want to develop your content. What will your audience see or hear that adds value? And there's a few types of content that can make a difference to people's lives. You may really just entertain, which is not a little thing. Entertaining is something that people really like, obviously, otherwise we wouldn't have TV, music, all those things. So you might have art, as in music, sketching, poetry, photos, a way that you're adding value because people are feeling something from what they view. You may be educating. For example, there's this wonderful lady, Heather, who is a graphic design artist, and she is educating people online for free and they are able to learn about how to prepare something using Canva or other things to put on their social media. Another way that you can add value is basically by inspiring. You may post quotes or stories of success that are going to inspire people to achieve or do or be more. And that's adds just as much value perhaps as being educated. So for example, there's a lady who entertains through her art. She decided one day she was going to, didn't have time to do a big painting, so she started painting a stamp-sized canvas every day. So one very small, tiny canvas with a very detailed little painting. She did one every day for 100 days. She now earns enough to make a living from those, which she just started doing for herself, but she started sharing them. She earns enough to make a living, and she's done amazing galleries all over the world from adding value when people loved and started following her. And it built up slowly, but now it's working for her. Right, so let's look at the content that allows you to stand out and add value. Tell stories. So I could tell you a story. So I could tell you to tell stories, or I could tell you a story about how telling stories is good. So I could just say tell stories, or I can say that I told a story about how much I value my children and family by showing photos. And that meant that other people, rather than just me just saying I value children, they understood and they grasped that I value children and family. Haylee wrote about her experience with multiple cardiac arrests and gave away a life-saving course, which impacted people a lot more than if she just said, hey everyone, it's important for everyone to learn how to save a life by giving CPR. The story of her experience sold that more than if she just told us we need to go and make sure we do a CPR course. Now, who's that lady? Bernadette Jiwa, isn't it? Haylee. She has a website and she explains a lot about telling stories. If you wanted to look up Story of Telling, she is really good at helping you see how stories and how sell what you do.
Yeah,
Rich content. Yeah. So content that allows you to stand out. These are the most powerful types of content. They give the strongest message. And this is through research that blogs, people say they're out of fashion, blah, 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 but if not many people are doing them, then they're going to stand out. And if audio content, podcasts are really, I don't know how many people I've started following just because I've heard a couple of podcasts and I just started to like the value they were adding to my life, and then I wanted to look more, and then I paid thousands of dollars to join a course that they did just from their podcast. Video series, videos, more and more, especially live videos, they are capturing attention. Visual content, like maybe you're very good at making infographics and things, and illustrations and photographs, all those are what we call rich content. Authenticity. You use your personal voice. We talked about your tone and things like that. And now my mouse is working again. Give your opinions and use your personal anecdotes. Yeah, no mouse. Consistency and regularity. You want to schedule your posts if you can, and you want to have a list of topics already there so that when you know you want to get out there and sing, you know you've got some ideas already. And you want to be fascinated with what you choose to post about. You don't want to think that everyone should know this and this is what you should be interested in, so you're going to post about grooming dogs where you're actually not that interested, and down the track you kind of think, oh, this is a real ordeal. If you're fascinated by something, you really love photography, and you've got multiple things that you want to shell and talk to people about, then that's what people are going to pick up on that. And the other thing is just start. Don't wait until everything is perfect, because it's never going to be perfect.
I think that's the critical part, is just start doing it.
You just got to be one step ahead. And I love the quote, and I keep telling everyone this is the best quote ever: if you don't start, then you never have anything to improve on. And I just found this other quote here too. No matter how many mistakes you make or how slow your progress, you're still way ahead of everyone who isn't trying. And that's from Tony Robbins. So this was the thing that I was going to say to you, Haylee. Forget about trying to gain more followers and focus on creating good content and putting it out there consistently. So even though I've said this is because you want to gain followers, blah, 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 and get an audience, if that's what you're focusing on, it can be easy to get put off, because you might think, oh, no one's noticed it, no one's commented, blah, blah, blah. But if you put something out there, and this is the beautiful Dana and Amanda, they've just started a business, and they're putting things out there to help people with their health. And they know that they've made a difference to some people's lives. It doesn't matter if it's 1 or 10 or whether they've commented or not. They're happy because they know they're putting out really good content. And if they focused on how many followers they got, that wouldn't be as good as just thinking about how much they've added value. So focus, 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 and learn to be excellent in that one space. This is Leslie. She is a stylist. She has now concentrated on Instagram, put a number of photos up, and you know what? Her audience that we're not measuring, but her audience has grown dramatically in the last 6 months, and she's been able to get into the onto the phones and in front of people multiple times over the last 6 months, because she's really concentrated hard on being good in that one space. And she's lovely. So the last thing you really want to do after you've figured out what you're going to be known for, you've figured out where, you know the content, is you really want to build your relationships with your loyal audience. Who will connect with you, and how will you make strong connections? So your ideal audience. And sometimes we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves. I don't know how many people I've said, who's your ideal audience? And they just say, oh, you know, I work with all sorts of people. It doesn't mean you can't work with all sorts of people, but you are going to have an ideal group that you know are going to be really easy to connect with. You're going to love working with them, and they're going to really love you a bit more than maybe some other people would. So don't worry about pigeonholing yourself for fear of missing out on possible customers. If you have a smallish group of very loyal and committed customers or clients who recommend you and shout your praises because they strongly connect with you and who you are and what you do is more valuable, it's more valuable than having a huge number of followers who may not really glance at you more than once a month. So, describe your avatar, and that's something that Jodine told me about. You think of someone who would be your ideal person. You may just go on the web and just pick someone out of the blue that looks like someone you really want to work with, and then decide what their age is, their gender, their job, family, where they live, what their interests are, what they like and dislike. Make it all up, but make it someone you think you're going to really love working with and it's going to love working with you. And then what you do with that avatar is you have it stuck up somewhere in your office, and when you're doing a webinar or writing a blog or whatever you're doing, you're looking at that person going, well, what would I say to you? How would I talk to you? What things would you be interested in? And then you write and talk about it to them. What will they connect with? And there's where you think about being consistent with your style, showing your values, your hobbies, things in your lifestyle that you love, and you tell your stories, which we talked about before. How can you engage with the audience? Well, you can comment and you can like and you can question. You can share things from those who are your audience. So you're both adding value, you're allowing others to see them, plus they will see that you've shared them, so they're going to feel more connected with you and see that you're helping them. It's all a nice little circle of liking and helping others will help you be helped and liked as well. And be patient. As I said before, it can take 5 years of slow growth, and then you can take off because one person who has a big influence notices you and becomes your alpha audience, and they share you everywhere, and it's all because you were consistent and patient. As long as you see progress and you love what you're doing, don't give up. One guy started a blog and he was sharing information specifically for the construction industry, and he was giving advice on systems, and he did this for years. He has this niche within his niche, and now he speaks and gets paid a lot of money to speak at conferences all over America about, well, for conferences for the construction business all over America. And now we look at how to use your personal brand images in your marketing. Unless someone's got any questions about what we talked about, don't be shy. This is what I suggest you do with your images. And people who've had shoots with me or another photographer who've got a whole library of images that are unique to them, and they don't have to go and find stock images, and they don't have to get a selfie or someone in the office to go and take a photo of them. They've got a whole library of images at their fingertips that they can go and chuck in with anything they type, because they've got a range of quirky and fun and really good photos. So you might want to think about accompanying every post online with an image or a video or something that's going to help capture attention. You want to put your photo on your business card if you can, and at the top of your website. There's research that shows that websites that have got a face big at the top, especially with a smile, that people will stay on that page and look for longer. Tell stories about yourself through your images to give people something to connect with. Don't just have a smiling, say cheese photo. Have something in your hand that tells some of your story, the background that tells some of your story. If you don't normally get your hair done perfectly, don't worry about having your hair done perfectly. Give people something to connect with. And really strong suggestion here is don't be afraid to share the quirky, fun, and less perfect shots. I always think of Catherine McGarvey when I think about this, because the first thing I saw on her website when I went in there, she's a marketing expert, and she had this quite quirky looking fun photo where she wasn't perfect on the front of her website. Try to be consistent with your mood and your colors and your items and environments in your image. I like to think that eventually, if people see your style of photos often enough, they don't even have to see you're in the photo and they recognize it as one of yours. And post regularly, be noticed, and keep filling the pipeline. Here's an example of telling your stories through images. And this is obviously Haylee. So these are the stories of Haylee. She has a small team that she works with, as you can see from that photo. She has a slightly bigger team with that, but they're not all there. She likes animals. She loves animals. She's got virtually a little petting zoo at her house. She supports the family and her community. She's relaxed and confident and down to earth, and she helps people in business. And those are all things that you can grasp from looking at her images. And this is just a round off, really. As my suggestion is just go for it. And remember that as with finding the love of your life, you're not trying to show off, and you're not implying you're better than everyone else, and you're not trying to be someone you are not. What you're doing is you're giving more people a chance to know you exist and letting them know that what you are about, so that if they are the right fit, they have the opportunity to build a relationship with you. You're sharing your perfect imperfections so they know who you really are before they marry you. And you're then able to add value to their lives as they will to yours. And Haylee's internet has crashed and she's just let me know. So we're at an hour, which is perfect. I am a personal brand consultant and photographer. If you'd like to chat more about your personal brand, you can book in a 20-minute consult. I think through Haylee, she'll send out an email afterwards. If you're interested in my photography services, I've got a number of packages you can choose from, and my phone number's there. This is an example of Helen, who's a yoga teacher, and what she was posting before, and what the images that I've taken for her that she can now post. Same pose, but professionally done. You can just see how much it stands out. Helen said some lovely words about me. She said, Rachel is an incredible photographer. She really took the time to get to know me as a person and what lights me up and what's true for me. She asked what I felt comfortable with and what I was hoping for from this personal branding shoot, and wow, the results blew me away. She absolutely captured the truest essence of who I am as an individual with my business. The images tell a beautiful, authentic story of me. And as I said, I have time for questions if anyone wants to, but we have reached an hour. Thank you very much for coming along and being part of the Personal Brands webinar. And obviously, Haylee is not here anymore, so she can't round us up.
I'm back.
Oh, she's back. Yay, she's back. You missed the best part, Haylee. Never mind.
I always do. So I will watch the recording. So has anyone got any questions at all? Like, obviously Rachel's a wealth of knowledge, so make sure you get everything now. I think the key thing, and you may have covered it while I was off in cyberspace somewhere, is that your personal brand is who you are, and that's how people are going to know and what you do, what you believe in, and what working with you is going to actually be like. Am I correct, Rachel?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you want to know any more about Rachel, she will be sending an email out to you in the next couple of days. Those of you who have actually indicated that you would like to actually catch up with Rachel and have a quick consult around your personal brand, she will arrange that with you in the next 2 or 3 days before school holidays. Don't expect anything to happen over the school holidays.
No.
But otherwise, if you need any further details, I will be loading this up and sending it out to everyone. Feel free to go and check out Rachel. Have you shared your web address, Rachel?
I did, very briefly.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, so feel free to check her out. She is absolutely amazing, and she does have that magic camera that no one else seems to have. So thank you so much for giving up your time today. We really appreciate it. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.